Today is a WRAL weather alert day. I'm tracking a line of thunderstorms that's crossing our viewing area. We have a level 2 risk that some of these could be severe. I'll show you when to expect that.
And from paradise to ruins, unprecedented wildfires in Hawaii now blamed for dozens of deaths and annihilating hundreds of homes and businesses. The worst may not be over yet.
Plus, a Utah man is dead after making threats to President Biden and several other officials. What the Capitol Police are doing to protect the nation's leaders.
We could be in for some strong to severe storms on this WRAL weather alert day. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. The first wave of storms is already here in Raleigh and hitting parts of the viewing area. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking what we'll see in the next few hours.
We've been tracking the strong band of thunderstorms ever since we started on the air early this morning at 4:30. It's, of course, finally made it into our viewing area, moving very fast. This line is moving at about 60 miles per hour. We have had a few severe thunderstorm warnings along this line near Rock Hill, South Carolina, and just up to the edge of our viewing area. Currently, none of this is technically severe in our viewing area, but we are seeing some heavy rain and a lot of frequent lightning, especially in our southern counties. Winds likely gusting up to 40 miles per hour. Now, that can do some minor damage, but not the sort of damage that we saw on Monday. We'll zoom in, taking a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. And again, you can see that rain is on the heavier side down to the south from Goldsboro down toward Fayetteville. It's starting to push out of Chapel Hill and Durham and will continue to affect folks along the I-95 corridor now for a while longer, likely at least another hour to hour and a half. Here's a look at our severe weather threat. It is a level 2 risk for most of our viewing area at this point. And I want to send you out to Brett Neese, who is live in the storm tracker, taking a look at some of this heavy rain. What are you seeing where you are, Brett?
Hey, Elizabeth. Yeah, we just passed Wake Med on New Bern Avenue. We're going to hop on the belt line and start to take a look at what these highways look like right now. Let's give you a look outside our storm tracker's dash cam right here, and you can see the windshield wipers. They're going, and there are plenty of wet roads out here right now. As it's been enough of this rainfall, though, that it's that inconvenient type weather, but it's also that strong type of rainfall that has created some ponding out on the roadways, especially the side of some of these side roads out here on New Bern Avenue. So we're going to get on the highway itself on 440, and we're going to head out east to the eastern part of Wake County, out towards the Wendell area where some of those heavier rainfalls are at that point, and then we'll check back in with you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Brett. We'll look forward to hearing from you again in just a little while. And we've been watching the radar echoes here. And of course, the brighter the colors, the yellows and oranges where that rainfall is heavy. This is a look at Futurecast, and we're going to see that heaviest rain, as Brett said, sliding eastward. They're going to be headed in that direction. By 1 o'clock, this is beginning to pull out of the viewing area and weaken a little bit more. It's possible that all of this will move through without producing any damaging wind. That is the hope. If we see some sunshine this afternoon, watch how the clouds start to break up around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then it's possible that we would see some cells that develop in the afternoon and evening that would bring us some severe storms. So we may not be completely out of the woods with the system just yet. We take a look at our watch potential. You can see this red highlighted area. This is going to be Wayne County, Sampson County, Cumberland County, and a little bit of Wilson and Johnston County. It's a 40% chance that we could see a watch posted in that area at some point in the next couple of hours. Of course, we're going to continue to follow this. We'll talk about how this is affecting the roads as people are moving around at lunchtime, and more about our severe weather potential later this afternoon coming up.
And as Brett Neese makes his way to the highways here in the WRAL Live Center, we're tracking some of those major highways right now. I want to take you to these live traffic cameras, starting with I-40 and I-885. You see traffic is moving along smoothly, but you can see it's still very wet out there as well. Another view of Cornwallis Road and Highway 147, that's now 885. Traffic also here moving along nicely, but people are driving at a comfortable pace. Another major thoroughfare here in the Triangle area, I-40 east and westbound lanes, traffic picking up a little bit here around the noon hour. This is a great opportunity to remind people about North Carolina's move over law. Because of these wet conditions, there could be some traffic incidents out there. If you see an incident, make sure you move over one lane. And if you can't move over one lane, at least slow down as you pass that incident that you might encounter.
Ken, thank you. WRAL has you covered when it comes to tracking the severe weather. When we're not on air, you can track it all on the WRAL weather app. Be sure you have the WRAL weather app installed on your phone. Turn on alerts to get notified about severe weather in your location. It's available for free for Apple and Android devices.
Another big story this noon, the scope of the deadly wildfires in Lahaina, Hawaii is coming into focus now. President Biden sending condolences as well as federal and military resources to the Big Island and Maui. NBC's national correspondent Miguel Almaguer is in the historic town of Lahaina, which has been decimated.
Amid that sobering and staggering death toll, which now stands at 36, we know upwards of 4,000 people at one point were evacuated from this wildfire. Hundreds of people are at this shelter behind me here in Maui. It's unclear when anyone will be able to return home. Those images of these wildfires, there are now 3 separate wildfires burning across this area, are just dramatic. It shows how quickly the scope of this fire really exploded. Officials say entire neighborhoods are decimated. Upwards of 300 homes and businesses have been destroyed, and officials say that number will likely climb. Later on today at First Light, officials say they'll also be able to scour the burn zone, hoping to find more of the missing. Of course, they're looking for survivors, but it's quite possible that the death toll, which again stands at 36, could continue to rise. Officials say these wildfires were fanned by incredibly strong winds, upwards of 80 miles per hour. The weather is getting better, but officials say they're going to have a long firefight on their hands in the days ahead. Back to you.
Desperate situation there in Hawaii. That was Miguel Almaguer reporting. WRAL Shelley Jackson continues our coverage live from RDU International Airport. Maui is such a popular tourist destination. And Shelley, those who had plans to vacation in Maui won't be able to go for some time.
That's right, Renee. No one is going to be going for a while because flights to Maui have been canceled. There are thousands of tourists trying to get off the island right now. United and American Airlines say they are sending planes to pick up those folks. Now, as Miguel mentioned, Lahaina has been really decimated. It's a historic whaling town. Hundreds have been displaced there. A Garner family is there for vacation among the thousands of tourists on Maui. They are staying in Wailea. That's kind of on the southern part of the island. They say that they could see the fire burning from their hotel yesterday, and they had planned to visit some of the areas that are now on fire.
We came here for really for a 10-year anniversary vacation along with the birthday celebration, and we feel like we just kind of dodged a bullet because we were planning to go to that side of the island today for the second half of our trip, and there was no notification from the hotels. We found out that all the power's down, the phone lines are down, and it was just kind of a scary moment to figure out, like, what are we going to do?
Now, Lahaina is very popular with tourists, and it has been decimated. Dozens of buildings, historic buildings, 100, 200 years old, have been destroyed. And tourists are scrambling to get off of the island. Some of them are being directly evacuated to the airport there. And airlines say that they are also going to waive change fees for those folks trying to get back to the mainland. Renee?
So the scramble begins, but it's just heartbreaking to see what's happening in Hawaii. Shelley Jackson, live at RDU.
And new at noon here in the WRAL Live Center, we're getting a first look at the toxicology report of a body that was found in the burn pit behind a Cary home back in March. This is video of that scene courtesy of Sky 5. The body of 34-year-old Cecilia Ann Walker was recovered from that burn pit. The body was covered in burnt trash and mulch and a black plastic bag. Now, based on the toxicology report, the ME detected cocaine, fentanyl, methamphetamine, and trace amounts of methadone. The report also showed Walker was in the first trimester of a pregnancy. Now, the cause of death is listed as a gunshot wound to the head. Now, investigators believe the homeowner where that burn pit was found, Ian DeLauder, he shot and killed Walker before taking his own life. His body was found in a nearby RV.
2 women have been charged after a 10-year-old boy accidentally shot his 1-year-old brother. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is expected to talk to the Edgecombe County Sheriff today.
I'm hoping to learn more about the circumstances surrounding this shooting. Deputies say it happened about 10 minutes from here, but they actually got a call from a nearby hospital in reference to that 1-year-old being shot. Even ahead of our interview, Sheriff Atkinson says that he will not tolerate the irresponsible handling of guns. Take a look at your screen. This is the gun that deputies say they found in that home. These 2 women, Tasha and Yasmin Mayo, were arrested for not safely securing and storing that gun. Deputies say they both lived in the house and they've since been released on bond. We're told the 10-year-old had gotten a hold of the gun and accidentally shot his 1-year-old brother. I'm working to learn more about the condition of that 1-year-old, but we're told that he's stable. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Edgecombe County.
The family of Genesis Dockery plans to hold a news conference this afternoon with their attorney. Dockery was shot to death at her babysitter's home on July 25th. The family attorney says the babysitter's 11-year-old son pulled the trigger. A funeral was held yesterday in Cumberland County. The family attorney and Dockery's father plan to call out the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department for failing to act. WRAL Fayetteville reporter Gilbert Bays will be there and share information beginning at 4 p.m.
VinFast shareholders approved a merger with Black Spade that could be valued at $23 billion. VinFast is the Vietnam-based electric vehicle manufacturer who just broke ground on a huge manufacturing plant in Chatham County. VinFast expects to hire more than 7,000 people and plans to invest some $2 billion in the first phase of construction. The stock of the combined company will begin trading within a few days. Next at noon, the latest economic indicator is out. What experts believe this means for what we'll pay for things like groceries moving forward.
Also, hackers by the thousands are headed to Las Vegas. How they hope to expose ways artificial intelligence on apps like GPT.
Plus, hundreds of layoffs for Anheuser-Busch employees. How struggling sales of Bud Light led to the firings.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
Inflation is at 3.2%, which is up from 3% last month. It was below the estimate. NC State economist Mike Walden says the prices we're paying at the grocery store are still high. They're just not rising as quickly as they were last year. Let's look at how this inflation will impact the cost of bread. A pound of white bread, which is about the size of a loaf, cost $1.28 in 2019. Today, it costs $1.94, which is more than a 50% price increase. Inflation isn't as high as it was this time last year, but it's still above the ideal inflation rate, which experts put at 2%. Walden says we may never go back to the pre-pandemic prices, but wages will have to catch up.
What we want to see eventually is for people's salaries to rise enough that they can afford these higher prices. And unfortunately, in my opinion, my estimation, we're a long way away from that.
Walden does not expect the Fed to raise interest rates because this increase in inflation we're expecting is a result of the recent spike in gas prices. Let's take a look at stocks this noon. We're on Thursday of the trading week on Wall Street, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average responding up 152 points right now.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we now know the cause of a fire at a popular restaurant in Chapel Hill. Took a look at video from that incident back last month. This is video from the Mediterranean Deli on West Franklin Street when that fire broke out. Now, based on information released by the Chapel Hill Fire Department within the last 45 minutes, it was determined that fire started on the roof of that building due to work being done at the time. The cause of the fire is listed as accidental. You can see it's just destroyed right now. Based on what the owners are saying, that he's looking for a new location right now before he can reopen. Right now, though, the business is still open for catering and special events.
A former FBI agent is reacting to the shooting death of a Utah man. FBI agents shot and killed a man as they were trying to arrest him for making threats toward President Biden just hours before the president landed in that state. Danielle Rivera spoke with the former agent about how the FBI assesses security risks.
A post on Craig Robertson's Facebook account from 3 days ago reads, "I hear Biden is coming to Utah, digging out my old ghillie suit and cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle. Welcome, buffoon-in-chief." It's one of dozens invoking violent fantasies found in the 75-year-old Provo man's now deleted digital footprints. In his posts, guns are Democrat eradicators, and he's stockpiling them for the 2024 election cycle. And to the FBI agents who talked to him about online death threats back in March, warnings. Robertson says he's a MAGA Trumper, talks about having a loaded gun handy, and writes, "You have no idea how close your agents came to violent eradication." A federal warrant for Robertson's arrest notes threat after threat and concerns the Provo man has the capability and intentions to carry them out.
But it's almost like he wants a confrontation with the FBI.
Carl Schmay is a former FBI agent who specializes in extremism. He says the FBI cannot investigate someone over ideology or their beliefs.
Look, this guy is espousing the fact that he's calling himself a MAGA Trumper, come after me. But the reason the FBI investigated him is because he was making threats that were violations of federal law, not because of his political beliefs.
He says agents focus on behavior, intent, and whether someone has the means to act on their words.
This is what kept me up at night when I was a supervisor, is we're looking for that needle in the haystack, who's a keyboard commando, and who's the guy that is actually going to pick up his gun, go out, and commit violence.
That was Danielle Rivera reporting. Capitol Police say they've had a historically high number of investigations the past couple of years. They recently announced a new campaign to hire more agents and investigators to protect members of Congress.
Lebanon and Kuwait have banned the new Barbie movie, claiming it offends moral values. In Lebanon, the film is accused of promoting homosexuality. And in Kuwait, the claims are Barbie carries ideas that encourage unacceptable behavior and a message that distorts the prevailing values of society. The movie was scheduled to be released in both countries later this month. Thousands of hackers are headed to Las Vegas this weekend to take on artificial intelligence chat apps, including ChatGPT and OpenAI. The hackers have the support of the White House and technology companies behind the most advanced AI models. Some say the technology has repeatedly been shown to amplify bias as well as spread toxic misinformation and dangerous material. Organizers hope this year's event will help expose new ways the machine learning models can be manipulated and give AI developers the chance to fix critical vulnerabilities.
This weekend, NC State coaching legend Jim Valvano will be inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. And WRAL will be there. Our Casey Hintz will have live coverage tomorrow on WRAL. Inducted posthumously and one of 12 inductees into this class, including Tony Parker and Dwayne Wade.
Certainly well-deserved for the coach, right? We have a brand new report out on our tropical forecast. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what that says.
Of course, we're tracking some thunderstorms across our area, but we don't have anything severe. This came in at 11 o'clock. The NOAA, which of course is the umbrella for the National Hurricane Center, issued its latest update for the forecast for the season. And it had been normal, and now they've upgraded it to above normal. Let's talk about those numbers. An average season is 14 named storms. The forecast now is 14 to 21. We have an average of 7 of those storms becoming hurricane strength. The forecast now 6 to 11. 3 of those major is what's normal, and they're going with 2 to 5. One of the reasons for that is our sea surface temperatures are so warm. You can see this is a look, just a sampling of what those are. This time of year, we often see systems come off the coast of Africa. So temperatures there in the mid 80s. Here in the Gulf of Mexico, 89 degrees. And down here near the Bahamas, it's 87. The higher these temperatures are, the more fuel there is for these storms to work with. Those storms use the warmth from the ocean to develop and grow. And so that's one of the reasons. El Nino is another reason that they bumped up the forecast for this year. Our forecast for this afternoon, of course, includes the chance of some thunderstorms. We have a level 2 risk for severe storms across most of the viewing area. We saw that change at around 9 o'clock this morning, with a few of our counties in the north and west being taken out of it. But wind damage is still a possibility as we head through the afternoon. We're tracking this line of thunderstorms moving through. We're looking at some of the heavier rain right now down in Sampson County. We'll zoom in here and take a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. Still a good bit of lightning associated with this. You can see down here some of that heavier rain starting to break up as it moves a little bit farther to the east. Of course, we have Storm Tracker out there in eastern Wake County. We're going to take a look at the rain there, and you can see Storm Tracker with those windshield wipers going. It's not as heavy as it was was around an hour or so ago. And that's definitely good news for folks who are out and about across the area. If you're along the I-95 corridor, it is a little heavier. Let's take a look at Futurecast here. We'll watch this band of rain as it slides eastward. By 1 o'clock, it's almost out of the viewing area. Some of the heavier rain may be north of Rocky Mount up toward Roanoke Rapids. Then we may get a break. And here's the big question. Are we going to see a break in the clouds? If we see a break in the clouds, we'll likely see highs in the upper 80s. There'll be plenty of fuel in the atmosphere for more storms to develop. Notice as we walk through between 3, 4, 5 o'clock, there's not a lot of development here. But if we do see breaks in the clouds, we do have the ingredients then for more severe storms during the afternoon. I say more. We haven't seen any severe storms in our viewing area, but we have just to the west as the storm was coming across the mountains. We take a look at Wilson. The rain is coming down here in Wilson fairly steadily. It's wet there. Downtown 75 is our temperature officially at the airport right now. In Rocky Mountain, Wilson is 77, 79 in Clinton and Goldsboro, a cooler 70 in Roxborough. But we're seeing clouds across the viewing area right now. Of course, as we transition to the weekend, we're back to the heat. Highs will be in the mid 90s and the heat index could be up into the triple digits. We may end up with a heat advisory. Today, of course, a WRAL weather alert day. We'll be looking at that chance for those thunderstorms during the afternoon and talk a little bit more about Friday's chance for storms as well. Coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Tonight on our evening news, downtown Raleigh restaurants made record profits in May, but not everyone is thriving. Today at 4, WRAL data trackers dig into the numbers to show you what areas are doing well and who's still hurting.
And WRAL joined undercover agents on raids in our area to show you how law enforcement is fighting the surge of fentanyl. Tonight at 6, we'll show you what agents uncovered while we were with them. And still ahead this noon, brace yourself. Disney's rolling out its second price hike this year. When customers can expect to see the bump in their bill.
And first, the Bud Light controversy impacted the company's bottom line. Now, hundreds of employees are losing their jobs. Who is taking the fall after the break?
Disney's streaming services are getting a big price hike. The price of ad-free versions of Disney Plus and Hulu are going up more than 20%. Both will see price hikes of $3 a month beginning in mid-October. It's the second time in less than a year Disney has bumped up prices as its streaming business remains unprofitable. Disney also says it'll begin to crack down on password sharing and update its subscriber agreements later this year. The cost of business travel is expected to soar even more this year and in 2024 as competition for airline seats, hotel rooms, and cars post-pandemic drives up those prices. A new report says the typical premium class airline ticket will likely top $4,500 next year. Business trips with multiple destinations, which is a practice known as trip batching, are up 10% from 2019. Trips like this help reduce emissions, save money, and maximize employees' travel time.
It's so overcast and dreary outside. You're looking at a live view of RDU International Airport, where passengers can continue to expect fewer flights to New York City and Washington, D.C. due to short-staffed air traffic controllers. The FAA first announced the relaxed requirements last March to scale back summer schedules. The waivers were initially set to expire September 16th. They've been extended another 6 weeks until October 28th. Anheuser-Busch is laying off hundreds of corporate staff members in the U.S. in the wake of the Bud Light controversy. Frontline workers like warehouse staff and drivers are not losing their jobs. The layoffs will affect about 380 corporate employees. Bud Light sales are struggling after almost 2 decades as the top-selling beer in America. The brand is getting anti-transgender backlash over influencer Dylan Mulvaney's promotion of the beer. Anheuser-Busch is also under fire from LGBTQ advocates for what they call a tepid response to the controversy.
It's a WRAL weather alert day, and we're keeping an eye on the radar as well as the roads. We have an updated forecast and share road conditions after the break.
Plus, for some students, heading back to school is exciting, while others experience fear of what's to come. In our next half hour, we'll share some ways to help children overcome anxiety. First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers. It's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. You can always rely on us for the important weather information you need to keep safe.
And so we have team coverage for you this half hour. Brett Neese is in the WRAL Storm Tracker, but we begin with WRAL's Elizabeth Gardner with who is seeing the heaviest rain right now.
This line of rain and thunderstorms is moving at 55 miles per hour, so it is zipping across our viewing area. It is almost out of the triangle, but definitely bringing a lot of heavy rain along the I-95 corridor. So we'll zoom in a little more closely here, and some of that heaviest rain is going to be down in the southern part of Sampson County and down toward Wilmington. We still have a good bit of lightning that's showing up here, especially from Goldsboro to Wilson on up toward Roanoke Rapids, and the heaviest rain in our viewing area right now does stretch from Roanoke Rapids all the way down through Halifax County and then eastward. So we're starting to see the back edge of it push out of the triangle area at the moment. Again, these storms are moving very, very quickly. And we'll take a look at exactly where Storm Tracker is moving along Highway 64 in Spring Hope. And that's where Brett Neese is right now. Brett, it looks like you're kind of chasing the back edge of the rain. How's it looking?
Yeah, Elizabeth, we're trying to catch up to it and trying to see the heavier rainfall, but so far, no luck. That's because it is moving so fast. But I want to give you this look outside the dash cam, and you can see our windshield wiper still going either way. And there has been enough rainfall, though, that it is creating, a wet commute right now at the middle of the day, and it is creating some ponding on the side of the roads in certain areas. That's just something to keep an eye out on, and especially give yourself some extra distance out on the roadways right now because of how wet it is. You don't want to be too close, following too close, whether it's a semi-truck or any kind of car out there. Give yourself plenty of extra space, extra room out there on the roadways. But, right now things are pretty quiet on this part of our drive out here, but because that rain has moved past us so quickly. But where it is heaviest, that is where we're seeing those ponding sections. That is another just thing to be on the watch for right now, Elizabeth. We'll send it back to you.
Brett, thank you. Certainly, we're fortunate that this is moving fast across our viewing area. And at this point, we haven't seen any warnings in our area, which is great news. So we do have a level 2 risk, however. Our best chance of seeing severe storms would be later this afternoon, starting around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If we start to see the clouds breaking up a little bit, we would have the potential for some isolated wind damage and possibly a tornado, maybe even a little bit of hail. We take a look at Futurecast, and you can see this system zipping on out of here very quickly. And then we'll watch. Notice we start to see a few holes in the clouds popping up in some places. That's 2:15, and maybe again a few spots as we're taking a look at 3:15. Now, the more sunshine we see, the better chance that that energy will reach the surface and start to destabilize the atmosphere and provide the ingredients for thunderstorms this afternoon. And if that happens, we would have a chance for some severe storms, a better chance than we've had this morning. And that's been what we've expected overall. Now, if we do see the clouds lingering until 6, 7 o'clock tonight, it may be that we don't end up seeing any of those storms materializing. So we'll be watching for that very carefully. We'll likely see the rain tapering off as we get to 2, 3 o'clock, and then we'll watch for that bump up later on this evening. We also have a chance for some thunderstorms on Friday. I'll let you know if that will affect your weekend plans coming up.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we're also checking air travel as this storm system quickly moves through our area. Taking a look at the flight aware, you can see out at RD International right now, 40 flights are delayed, just 4 canceled flights in terms of what we're talking about in terms of air traffic and flight delays. But I want to give you a bigger picture look at the misery map, courtesy of FlightAware as well. 2 airports that we track very closely because of all the connecting flights in and out of RD International are Atlanta and Charlotte. And right now in Charlotte, there's 74 delayed flights and 6 canceled flights. Let's take a look at Atlanta. 83 delayed flights right now out of Atlanta, Hartsfield Jackson Airport. Of course, if you have a flight connecting to Charlotte or Atlanta, if you're flying out of RD International, make sure you check the flight status before heading to the airport.
Thanks, Ken. Also, stay on top of the latest storm developments in real time with the WRAL News app. You can watch our live newscasts and get the latest forecast. Download the app for free from the Apple and Google app stores. And be sure you have the WRAL Weather app installed on your phone. Turn on the alerts so you can get information about severe weather where you are.
Heading back to school after a long summer break can be an exciting time for kids. But for some students, the anxiousness of heading back to school may be fueled by fears or worry. Dee Dee Stipend spoke with a child psychologist about ways you can help children overcome back to school anxiety.
Many of the things parents and caregivers can do to help kids with back-to-school worries are fairly straightforward.
The first one is staying calm and warm, realizing that when kids are nervous and worried, they often express that through acting up, being more irritable. Kids usually take those emotions out on their parents because that's the safe place to do so.
Dr. Whiteside says some kids might feel overwhelmed at the thought of interacting and reconnecting with peers.
Make some efforts to make sure that they have some play dates or reconnect with some of the kids that they know through school but don't see so much during the summer can be helpful.
He says the main thing to avoid is avoidance.
Deciding that this is too hard for my child, they can't do it, we need to not do this, whether it's go to school or we need to avoid certain things because they're just too overwhelming for my child. It runs the risk of allowing things to get worse over time.
Finally, making sure kids get good, structured sleep, are eating well, limiting screen time, and emphasizing physical activities can help kids feel better.
When we feel better, fears and worries are easier to manage.
This year's Gear for the Year campaign kicks off in Wake County this evening, helping students get ready for the start of school year. There'll be a backpack distribution event tonight from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Kentwood Learning Center. That's on Neely Street in Raleigh. The event will feature activities for students, including a hot dog party, music, and games.
Inclusivity or indoctrination? How some parents are challenging a school board over LGBTQ storybooks being read and discussed in elementary school.
Plus, how a fossil discovery led to finding a new species. What researchers are saying about an amphibian that may have lived 240 million years ago. This month, WRAL is partnering with the Interfaith Food Shuttle to help erase hunger in our community. With a new school year just around the corner, one of the Food Shuttle's fastest growing programs is about to take off. The Food Pantries program will soon be serving 1,500 kids and their families every school day. Shelves are being stocked with nutritious food to accommodate 41 area schools with pantries. Students can grab a snack or a quick meal during the school day, and families can come to the pantries and choose from a balanced selection of fresh produce, meat, and groceries.
It allows the families to be in a comfortable place to pick up food, a secure place, a confidential place. And for around people that they know, their students go to the schools, and we think that with this being done, it's easier for families to have access.
And this school year, the Food Pantries program is expected to serve over 13,000 students and their families. Visit foodshuttle.org to learn more about this program, donate and volunteer, and together we can help erase hunger in our community.
Right now, Governor Roy Cooper is in Perquimans County at the coast, highlighting efforts to support childcare in North Carolina. Cooper's proposed state budget includes $1 billion for childcare in North Carolina as facilities struggle to find and keep staff. The governor has said the system is strained to its breaking point. Parents from different faiths are challenging the school board over the book selection for the upcoming school year, the issue bringing them together. And after the break, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will be back to explain the biggest concerns with today's storm system and when we'll be in the clear.
Some parents in Maryland are asking a judge to allow their children to opt out of reading and discussing LGBTQ+ storybooks before the new school year begins. Some Christian and Muslim parents say it forces families to forfeit their beliefs. Brad Bell reports the request comes as a lawsuit over a permanent exemption proceeds.
Books with titles like Pride Puppy and Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, are part of a system-wide effort by the Montgomery County Board of Education to create a more inclusive environment and education for all students, starting in the earliest grades in all subjects. But these parents and their lawyers say reading these storybooks with pre-kindergartners up to fifth graders amounts to indoctrination.
These books go far beyond the introduction of LGBTQ characters. They encourage students to think about what a pride parade is, to search for words in a pride parade book like drag queen and drag queen, zipper, leather. Other books encourage children to reconsider their own pronouns, to think about whether they're cisgender or transgender.
Derek Baxter of the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty has filed a complaint on behalf of these mostly Muslim parents, alleging their religious rights are being violated by a school board decision to no longer allow parents to opt their kids out of lessons involving such books. A federal judge in the U.S. District Court in Greenbelt today hearing more than 2 hours of legal arguments on their demand for an order to once again allow them to opt out. For parents, it's a matter of religious freedom.
If I want to share that kind of material with my children, it's my right to share that. Not the Board of Education, not the teachers, none of that.
School system lawyers declining to comment after the hearing, in court arguing that allowing kids to opt out defeats the school board goal of inclusivity. And when opt-outs were allowed, too many kids left the classroom.
That was Brad Bell reporting, and the judge says she'll make a decision on a temporary opt-out before the school year starts August 28th.
The Panthers' preseason kickoff is just 2 days away. They take on the New York Jets Saturday at Bank of America Stadium. The game begins at 4 p.m. WRAL Sports Crew will be there with coverage before and after the game.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, President Biden declaring a disaster declaration for Hawaii as we look at aerial video of the devastation there in that state. The president's action makes federal funding available to affected individuals in Maui County. Now, the assistance can include grants for temporary housing and home repairs, low-cost loans to cover uninsured property losses, and other programs to help individuals and business owners recover from the effects of that disaster. Right now, more than 270 structures are destroyed, mainly in the town of Lahaina. This is a tour that the Lieutenant Governor took just a few hours ago. At least 36 people have died here. But we want to bring it back home and talk about the WRAL Weather Alert Day. Get right to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We've already seen some rain move through, Elizabeth.
We have. Boy, this line of rain and thunderstorms moved by so quickly. It's been moving at about 55 to 60 miles per hour over the last 4 to 6 hours. And we take a look at this moving on through the viewing area. Watch as we take a look at the loop. You can see there were a few isolated thunderstorm warnings that popped up. Those are the yellow boxes. And here in Anson County, just southwest of our viewing area, there were some trees down. We didn't see any winds that looked strong enough to topple trees across our viewing area. We had the potential for winds really up to around 40 miles per hour. Severe winds would be at nearly 60 miles per hour. But we do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that's down near Wilmington there in Brunswick County. And so we're going to be keeping our eye on that, but that is going to be south of our viewing area. Definitely the rain is easing up, and so is the lightning. We'll switch over to dual Doppler 5000 radar, and you can see this storm moving quickly out of our viewing area. Some heavy rain still lingering up around Northampton County, but it's really starting to move east of I-95 at this point. Now, not to say that you wouldn't run into a few sprinkles, but we're definitely starting to see that rain tapering off. You can see where the back edge of that continues to move past I-95. Now, we do still have the level 2 risk for severe storms. We could still have the potential for some strong thunderstorms later this afternoon if we see a few breaks in the clouds. Right now, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies across the viewing area, but the Futurecast does show a few breaks in the clouds. If that happens, the sun's energy will heat things up and provide enough in the atmosphere to help to bring us a chance for thunderstorms later this afternoon. Right now, we're looking at Futurecast showing those moving out, but here's a version of Futurecast that does show those potential thunderstorms popping up between 4 and 5 o'clock, especially along and east of I-95. That's where we'd have the best chance. That's where we have the most moisture in the atmosphere. We take a look at Futurecast for Friday. We'll have another round of thunderstorms. Another disturbance is going to swing through. This is lunchtime. This is likely to be fairly late in the day on Friday. A few isolated showers could pop up around the time of the evening commute, but our best chance for thunderstorms doesn't come until around 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So if you're headed out to see music on Friday night outside, or if you are planning to eat dinner outside Friday night, especially if you have a late reservation, it may be that there'll be some showers and storms that pop up. Our chance for thunderstorms and rain tomorrow is just 30%. It begins to bounce back up a little bit by late Sunday into Monday with about a 50% chance. Here's a look at what's happening across the viewing area. Still seeing some rain falling falling there in Goldsboro, but the rain is over in Apex. The streets are drying out. We're starting to see a little bit of sunshine in Chapel Hill showing up. So again, the more breaks in the clouds we see, the better chance we'll have of seeing strong to severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon. So it is still a WRAL weather alert day because of that potential to see storms developing between 3 and 7 p.m. tonight. Tomorrow's high 92. Today we'll likely keep it in the 80s with the clouds that we've seen. Our temperatures right now across the area are in the 70s. We're looking at hot conditions over the weekend with highs in the mid 90s and heat index up near 100 to 105.
Elizabeth, thanks. Scientists say they've unearthed a rare skeleton of a new amphibian species. Coming up, where it was located and when experts believe it swam the oceans.
And here are your winning Powerball numbers on your screen right now. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. Today's a WRAL weather alert day because of the threat of storms. And right now, most of our area is under a level 2 risk for severe weather. You can always track the rain with the dual Doppler 5000 radar on your phone through the WRAL weather app.
At least 36 people are dead as wildfires continue to burn through Hawaii. The fires have destroyed hundreds of homes and buildings on Maui. Officials warned the death toll on the island could rise. President Joe Biden ordered all available federal assets to help with the response.
VinFast shareholders approved a merger with Black Spade that could be valued at $23 billion. The Vietnam-based electric vehicle manufacturer just broke ground on a huge manufacturing plant in Chatham County. The company expects to hire more than 7,000 people and invest about $2 billion in the first phase of construction.
Mattel is bringing some of its most popular toys to life. The Mattel Adventure Park is expected to open next year in Glendale, Arizona. It will feature iconic brands such as Barbie, Thomas the Train, and Hot Wheels. Fans will be able to ride on a Hot Wheels-themed roller coaster called the Bone Shaker, the ultimate ride. It will take riders 84 feet in the air. Marvel fans will really like this next story. McDonald's has a new meal that includes a collaboration with Loki. Starting Monday, customers can order different menu items that have been talked about in certain scenes of the series. McDonald's will also be featured in the new season of the Loki TV series, and it will include its own sweet and sour sauce in a new meal.
Scientists have discovered a new giant species of amphibian after its fossil was found in Australia. The 240 million year old fossil was found inside quarry rocks that were intended to build a wall. The new species has a name that means supine and creeper and may have lived in freshwater rivers during the Triassic period. Scientists say the fossil shows nearly the entire skeleton and the outline of its skin. The fossil is set to be displayed at the Australian Museum in Sydney later this year. An unusual visitor decided to take a stroll, or shall we say a galump, through a hardware store in New Zealand. Look at this. Employees found a seal wandering through their delivery yard. They contained it with a few heavy boxes until rangers from the New Zealand Department of Conservation retrieved it. We're told it was taken to a local marine reserve. By the way, galumping is the clumsy bouncing motion seals make to propel themselves.
Oh, but that face.
It's an actual thing.
Our pet of the day is a cute little princess from the SPCA of Wake County. Amethyst is a 3-month-old spayed female kitten. She is what's called a Velcro cat because she demands to be near you at all times so she can be the center of your attention. Amethyst has feline leukemia virus, which is one of the most common infectious diseases in cats, so she should be the only cat or live with other cats who have it. Check out spcawake.org to learn more about Amethyst.
And it's back to school, the college edition, today at 4. 5 on your side tells you the dorm room essentials you won't want to forget.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Have a great day.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere.